Hello everybody and welcome to the final day of my birthday marathon. Has it been interesting for you, looking at some of my favourite songs from varying genres? Because, you know, it's been quite an interesting thing for me, because like a month ago I put up a poll asking what I should do for my birthday video, and I put up a poll of like favourite songs from the metal genre, favourite songs from any genre, favourite bands from any genre, and a couple of other options, but overwhelmingly the answer came back favourite songs from any genre. So I had to write down a rather extensive list of what my favourite songs were, and then try and whittle it down to a suitable size to choose from, and that took quite a lot of work. It was really difficult for me to narrow it down to just 14. I didn't even intend to do 14 videos. You know, I've been doing 2 videos a day. I hadn't intended on doing that many, but that's where we are. And so what I've been doing is I've been doing 2 videos a day, one track being a metal track, and one being something outside of the metal genre, you know, from varying other genres, you know, and we've covered some different ones. Like we've looked at Richard Marx, we've looked at Depeche Mode, we've looked at Rosa Walton doing I Really Want to Stay at Your House from the Cyberpunk 2077 and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. You know, I've looked at some varying pieces of music. And today we're going to be looking at the band Steeleye Span. Now, I love folk music. I love music of all kinds, really, as I think we might have discovered during this week. But we're going to be looking at Steeleye Span. They're a British folk band from... I'll be telling you that in a minute. You know, they've been going for a very long time. And they've been a band that I've always really enjoyed. You know, the lead singer, Maddie Pryor, she has got an outstanding voice. A lot of their music has been covered over the years, and they are a spectacular band. My older brother is a big fan of Steeleye Span. He's been to see them live. I've never had the chance to do that, unfortunately. But, yeah, they're an interesting sort of... They're a sort of folk/rock band, really. I'll tell you something about Steeleye Span. It says here, Steeleye Span are a British folk rock band that were formed in 1969. Nice. In England by Fairport Convention bass player Ashley Hutchins, and established London folk club duo Tim Hart and Maddie Pryor. The band were part of the late 70s British folk revival and were commercially successful in that period, with 4 top 40 albums and 2 hit singles, Gaudete and All Around My Hat. Now, Gaudete is a very popular song. It's been heard a lot, it's been covered a lot. In fact, there was a band I covered a while back called Epta Astera, who did Gregorian chanting folk black metal, which was very intriguing. They did a cover of Gaudete, which was very good. The band has seen many personnel changes over the years, with Maddie Pryor being the only original member left of the band. Their music repertoire consists mostly of traditional songs with 1 or 2 instrumental tracks and jigs. The traditional songs often include some of the child ballads. In their later albums, there have been an increased tendency to include music written by band members, but they have never moved completely away from traditional music. I only discovered this very recently, in 2013, I think it was. Steeleye Span did a collaboration with the late great author Sir Terry Pratchett, and did an entire album based off of one of his books called The Wintersmith. And I only found this out very recently. I didn't actually realise it was a collaboration between the two. And it is a fantastic fantastic album, telling the story from, you know, of the Discworld, concentrated around the Tiffany Aching books. So if you're familiar with Terry Pratchett, you know, that's something a little bit interesting that you might be intrigued to know. But like I say, Steeleye Span is sort of folk with a hint of rock going on. Now, I'm going to be looking at a track called Long Lankin. Now, I've always loved this song. You know, it tells quite a dark story, but I've always loved the song, and I've always loved Maddie Pryor's vocal performance in this, because she's got a very definitive voice. You know, it's a voice that you'd be able to identify very easily. She's got quite a powerful voice as well. Now, there is a story that goes along with Long Lankin. I won't go through it right now. I'll talk about it afterwards. But it is quite a dark story. So I think we'll jump into the track, and then I'll sort of tell you all about what Long Lankin is afterwards. So, yeah, it's an interesting song. It's something quite different from everything I've looked at so far this week. Yeah, we'll have a look at this track. Before we do that, if you could take a moment to like and subscribe, it would really, really help me out. You know, I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and as it stands, not even 2% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. So if you could like and subscribe, it'd make a huge difference to me. It'd make a huge difference to the channel. But with that being said, let's just jump into this track. So this is Long Lankin by Steeleye Span. Can you tell it's from the 70s?
says the nurse to him. Where's the lady of the house? Says Lord Lankin. So sleeping the stranger, says the nurse to him. Where's the baby of the house? Says Lord Lankin. He's asleep in the cradle, says the nurse to him. We will pinch him, we will break him, we will starve him, we'll all in. And the nurse
The drummer really going for it, isn't he? There we go. Long Lankin by Steeleye Band. Possibly not the best recording. I probably could have chosen a better video, honestly. But I've always really, really loved that song because, you know, I've mentioned many times before, I love when songs have stories behind them. And I believe the story to this is based on an old folk tale about Long Lankin. And as I understand the story goes, is that there was a lord who commissioned a stonemaker by the name of Long Lankin to build him a castle. So Lankin proceeded to build said structure. And when it came to the time for the lord to pay Lankin for the construction of the castle, the lord turned around and goes, I've got nothing to pay with you, you know. In order to pay you, I'd have to sell my lands, I'd have to sell the castle, I'd have to sell everything I own, and that's just not going to happen. So, naturally, Lankin was pissed. You know, he was not happy. So, he basically turned around and swore, you know, revenge on this lord. And the lord was like, yeah, whatever, you know. And Lankin returned to a moss bog where he lived in a sort of marshland area covered in moss and that sort of thing. So eventually, you know, the lord sort of went about his life, went about his business, didn't hear anything else from Lankin. And one day the lord found he had business off in London. So he left his castle, you know, and his wife and his child inside, and he turned around to his wife and goes, lock all the windows, lock all the doors, you know, don't let any strangers in or near the house. You know, you've got the nurse and the maid here, you'll be safe, just make sure all the doors and windows are locked. But what he was unaware of is the nurse that's supposed to help with the child was actually working with Long Lankin. She's actually in league with Long Lankin. So once the lord left, the nurse unlocked a small window that Lankin had built into the structure of the castle that nobody knew about. So she unlocked this window so Lankin could get in and take his revenge. And this is where the song comes in, because the song covers the story, but it doesn't cover the beginning of it, which I just explained there. So the song comes in, said the Lord unto his lady, as he rode over the moss, beware of Long Lankin, who lives amongst the gorse. Beware the moss, beware the moors, beware of Long Lankin. Be sure the doors are bolted well, lest Lankin should creep in. So that's what I was just saying about, you know, the Lord had to go away, so he told his missus, you know, make sure the doors and windows are locked. You know, just in case Long Lankin decides to take his revenge whilst I'm not here. And then it covers that same verse again. It says the Lord unto his lady as he rode away. So it is slightly different. Beware of Long Lankin, who lives amongst the hay. Beware the moss, beware the moor, beware of Long Lankin. Be sure the doors are bolted well, lest Lankin should creep in. So there's the sort of setup that they give here. You know, they don't explain the pre-story to it. There is other suggestions that Long Lankin was just a common burglar rather than somebody who built the castle for the Lord. But the overwhelming story, you know, the predominant story seems to be that he was a stonemason hired by this lord. And the Lord basically, you know, the Lord of the land screwed him over, so Lankin was like, I'm going to get you for this, you know, sort of thing. So, at this point, the nurse has unlocked the window, and Lankin comes in. And he crawls in through the window, and he's speaking to the nurse at this point. He says, "Where's the master of the house?" says Long Lankin. "He's away to London," says the nurse to him. "Where's the lady of the house?" says Long Lankin. "She's up in her chamber," says the nurse to him. "Where's the baby of the house?" says Long Lankin. "He's asleep in the cradle," says the nurse to him. And at this point, Long Lankin takes it upon himself to torture and murder the child. And it goes, we will pinch him, we will prick him, we will stab him with a pin, and the nurse shall hold the basin for the blood all to run in. So basically they exsanguinate the baby, which is really disturbing. Like I said, this was a very, very dark story. So, you know, the Lord turning around to Lankin and saying, I'm not going to pay you for building this magnificent structure you've built for me. Lankin's turning around and going, right, I'm going to torture and murder your wife and child, basically. So, and it goes, so they pinched him, and they pricked him, and they stabbed him with a pin, and the false nurse held the basin for the blood all to run in. So, you know, the nurse was sitting there holding a bowl or basin of some kind, whilst Lankin, like, pinched, pricked, sliced, cut, whatever, exsanguinated this child over the basin, you know. So they collected the blood of the child, which is, like, really fucked up. And after doing this, Lankin goes back into the hallway, goes to the base of the stairs, and goes, Lady, come down the stairs, said Long Lankin. How can I see in the dark? She says unto him. You have silver mantles, says Long Lankin. Lady, come down the stairs by the light of them. Down the stairs the lady came, thinking no harm. Lankin, he stood ready to catch her in his arms. So he's murdered and tortured her child. And this is obviously happening quite late at night as well, because he's gone to the stairs and he's now called up to the lady of the house saying, look, could you come down for a moment? I mean, the fact that it's an unrecognised male voice in a house where there shouldn't be a male voice, you know, should have given us some clue that something was wrong, but apparently not. So he's like, would you come downstairs for a moment? And she turns around and goes, well, I can't see, what am I going to do? He goes, you've got candlesticks, you daft bin, light one of those and come down the stairs. So she comes down the stairs with the candle, and he's standing at the bottom of the stairs ready to catch her when she imminently faints, because it goes on there. There was blood all in the kitchen, there was blood all in the hall, there was blood all in the parlour, where my lady she did fall. So she's come down the stairs to see Long Lankin, and blood everywhere. Whether he's done this purposely, you know, like when he caught the blood when the nurse was holding the basin full of blood, did he then take the blood and spread it everywhere? That bit's unclear, but it seems like that would be the idea. So she's come down the stairs to see blood everywhere, and she's gone, oh, and then fainted. So, and it doesn't explicitly suggest it here, but there is the suggestion that he then murdered the wife as well. And it jumps straight from there to there. Now Long Lankin shall be hanged in from the gallows oh so high, and the false nurse shall be burned in the fire close by. So, you know, Lankin was ultimately caught for the crime, but, you know, he basically ruined the Lord's life because the Lord refused to pay him. And let's face it, if you're building a castle, you're supposed to be paid a considerable sum of money. You know, I like the song because it covers, you know, it talks about a story, it covers an old traditional sort of folk tale. I'm not sure, I've not been able to find any sort of time period from when the story is from, because there was a song called False Lankin in 1955. And Steeleye Span did their song in 70-something. I think. I can't remember. Anyway, you know, so there's been a lot of coverage of this story by various folk bands over the years. But Steeleye Span's version is the version that I'm familiar with. And, you know, like I said, it's quite a dark story. And I heard this years and years and years ago when I was really quite young, and it always stuck with me because it was telling a story, and because I liked the music and I liked Maddie Pryor's voice. And like I said, the video that I used here perhaps wasn't the best example, you know, it wasn't a very good quality recording. But this song has always stuck with me, and it's always been, like, if I listen to Steeleye Span, this is always the first track that I listen to. You know, but like I said, they've got songs like Gaudete and All Around My Hat and things like that. And like I said, there was that Wintersmith album that they did in a collaboration with Sir Terry Pratchett, which I listened to recently and is an absolutely outstanding album. You know, so they're a band that have been sort of dominant in my life from when I was very, very young. You know, because like I said, both my parents used to be radio DJs. My grandfather and my uncle used to be radio DJs. You know, there's a long line of deeply musically involved people in my family. So, you know, I've been raised on all kinds of music. You know, so whilst I predominantly listen to heavy metal, I do listen to everything else as well. But this is one band from like when I was really, really young. See, like I was born in 1980, you know, and this band's been out in like since like the late 60s, early 70s. So their music has been consistent throughout my entire life. So, yeah, it's a song that I really, really like. And, you know, when I want to just sit back and chill, you know, I'll throw on a bit of Steeleye Span and just relax. And, yeah, it's a song I really like. It's a band I really like. They have got a lot of music out there. And, yeah, very, very good, very, very enjoyable. And I love the song because it tells the story. But I don't know what else I can say on that, so I'll leave that as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or a subscribe if you haven't already, because it really, really would help me out. You know, I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and barely even 2% of people that are watching my videos are actually subscribed, and that's kind of disheartening, considering how long I've been doing it. And, you know, I do put a lot of time and effort into making these videos. So, you know, if you could like and subscribe, you know, it doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second, and it would make a hell of a big difference to me and the channel. But that's all I've got for you today. The final video is coming up in a little while, and as I mentioned yesterday, that's going to be Megadeth. But can you guess what song it's going to be? So yeah, I'll see you in the last video coming up soon, but thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
As the master of the house says, long Lankin, so away to London, says the nurse to him.